how do you maintain the focus?
Yeah, it's like I'm focused on what's happening, but to really like not get comfy in my chair and yeah, going for casual instead of try harding and getting like the highest DPS possible is something I struggle with. I tend to relax too much. Is I think a good way to say it.
That's a really interesting question, and I think um, a lot of it is going to be you have to kind of try and practice self-discipline and kind of take it seriously, right? In a way, like um, this is a video game, right? This is a video game, but we're also a group of human beings trying to accomplish a goal, right? And even though it is a video game, it's still a challenge to overcome, and it's something that's very, very real, right? Like if we don't put in the work, we won't get the output. It's very much like, something in real life, like studying for an exam, right? Or training in sport, right? Like it's very similar to that in this regard. So I think a way to do that is to actually change your mindset towards the game, right? Because I think this is something that I get a lot. It's like, oh, it's a game. I don't want to treat it like a job. I don't want to treat it like a job. But I'll tell you a secret. To be honest, if you treat it like a job, you kind of win. And this is one of those encounters that I'll actually kind of bite the bullet on this. This kind of is a job, in a way. It's a part-time job because we're playing pretty chill, but you'd still put effort in a part-time job, right? Regardless of how many hours you were working, right? And this is exactly the same thing. You kind of do have to look at it as a bit of a job if you want to do this. And so I think kind of reframing your mindset on this, it's why I've kind of tried to explain the requirements for HTCM very clearly. This is not something that you can just kind of learn the dance for. You also have to press a bunch of buttons. If you don't press the buttons, the game will deny you. The game is going to mercilessly punish you over and over again. Yeah, and I think looking at it like the team as well. Like ultimately, Ralph, we need you. We are relying on you. We need you to do your best. Everyone's doing their best, and they need you to do your best as well. People are basically relying on you. So I guess kind of almost like emotionally blackmailing yourself can be somewhat effective as well. Because like, oh man, I don't want to let the team down. I gotta go. I gotta be fully focused. But yeah, I don't know. I actually don't. I will admit this. I'm kind of floundering here a little bit, Ralph. I'll admit that because I'm a lunatic. I'm pretty good at focusing on things, and I'm very goal oriented. I want to win. So I'll admit I actually don't have particularly good advice for you on that, on like how to get into that mindset.
The thing that's interesting that is interesting to me is the fact that I actually struggle with this not only when I'm playing Guild Wars. You said treat this like your job, but even in a professional business environment, I tend to lose my focus and not have that try hard mentality to always give 200%. I have this with school, with everything, so it's interesting to relate it with video games.
Yes.
Because it's funny to hear somebody else say it.
I think it's actually really. I think that one thing that maybe could be useful to you then is thinking about this as a way of practicing for those other things that you also care about. Because
Yeah,
I'm
sure.
a huge enjoyer of video games. For this, I think that some of the skills that I've developed while playing games, like problem solving, and definitely setting goals and figuring out how I'm going to achieve those goals and making incremental progress towards those goals. I've actually found that to be video games are a really useful place to actually develop those skills. So maybe you could look at it like that you are actually developing the skill that you're going to find really useful in your real life in this video game. Because I think you absolutely can. Like if you're able to sit down and go, right, I'm working on a team, I'm going to do my best for the team, this is what I've got to do, I've got these steps that I need to follow in order to accomplish this goal, and to get better at this and to perform this action. I think you'll find that will very much follow through and kind of overlap with the skills you're looking to develop in real life as well. Hey people, is it only possible to play WoW or 14 seriously if you don't have a real job and family? No, and this is kind of the this is kind of the thing that I wanted to set out with the boot camp. You don't need a lot of time to get good at video games, but what you do need is the right mentality. You need to be in the right headspace for it. You can honestly, if you wanted to be a top-level PvP player in Guild Wars 2 or a top-level raid player, to be honest, you could do it on like 3 hours a week. But those 3 hours a week would have to be very focused, right? It would have to be very intense. If you have like 3 hours of really intense practice and you really think about improving, then honestly, you can get a really long way in gaming. It's like, obviously hours help, right? Like you need to have, you need more hours in the game, gives you more time to practice. That's going to accelerate your progress, and ultimately it will allow you to go further because, hours in is relevant. It is a factor. But no, you can be a high-level player 100%. Like if you just sit down and you really think about your time and you use your time wisely and efficiently. But also, and I will say this is a scary idea, Ralph, but it's definitely one that you should think about, is do you want to do this? Right? The other option here is maybe this isn't for you. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. If you go, you know what, I really had a good time kind of raiding and blasting, but HGCM's a little bit too far. It's a little bit, too intense. It's not really what I'm looking for in a video game. That's also completely valid. And there's no shame in that. There's no like disrespect for that. Like, in fact, the opposite. One of the things that I see a lot, by the way, and because but back when HTCM was new, this is a weird ego moment. People would always ask me like, "Hey, can you come play with us static and help us?" Right? And one of the things that I really noticed is that in every single static, there were like 2 or 3 people who very clearly weren't enjoying it. Right? They've been at it for multiple weeks, right? They've been at it like grinding away, just blasting the fight, doing pull after pull after pull, getting hour after hour after hour after hour, right? And 2 or 3 people very clearly were not having any fun. They were like, "Holy shit, I want it to be over. Like, I don't like this. I don't like the grind. This sucks. All we do is wipe. I hate it." And realistically, those players probably should just, they probably shouldn't have played, right? Because they weren't really having a lot of fun. And, there's nothing wrong with that, right? I think, and that's completely understandable. Yeah, like kind of being introspective about this stuff and kind of thinking about your goals, what you're looking for in a video game. What do you want out of gaming? What do you want out of your leisure time, right? And if that doesn't include kind of like grinding away, trying to kill something really difficult, that's totally fine, right? It's your leisure time, and you should use it exactly as you see fit. Like you don't have to do the hardest content in the game. You don't have to do any content in the game. If what makes you happy is just kind of like going on your mount and like roller beetling around, honestly, I like doing that. Who doesn't like doing that? Nothing wrong with that. So I definitely think introspection is important here as well.
No, I'm quite sure I'm down for it. I'm really enjoying it, and it's not that the grind is scaring me off. It's the reason I started doing it, because I knew there was going to be a grind, and I was up for the challenge. Mm-hmm. It's just I'm noticing it's more of a mental challenge again, and I'm hitting against the same wall that I'm having with other stuff. So,
I'll actually say this. What you're experiencing, that is normal. By the way, like you should not go, "Oh man, this is a me thing." No, this is an everyone thing. So hopefully that gives you some perspective on that. You're absolutely correct. Think about the dialogue around raids in general, right? Why don't people raid? It's not that they can't, right? It's that they don't, right? If that makes any sense, right? It's always getting yourself into the mindset. It's always getting the mind in order to actually accomplish the task. That's always the biggest roadblock that everyone always faces when it comes to everything, right?